Alright, it's late. I don't care. We got more, I guess it's not really random thoughts since it was spurred by watching another video. I'm not going to tag him because he's much bigger on just about every platform I watch him on. So, but I will mention him if you do want to go give him a watch. But Soulkeeper Gaming made a video, or short, I guess, to be more specific, about Resident Evil and co-op. Now, I am not an authority on Resident Evil, I will admit that. Okay, authority might be a strong word, but I do consider myself an authority on co-op games, because I play co-op / multiplayer games a fucking lot. Always have. Sorry, it's still cold right now, if you're wondering why I'm moving around so much. But he said that Resident Evil and co-op don't get along, and then mentioned Resident Evil Outbreak and Resident Evil 5, and neither one of them being very good, and both of them being lackluster in combat, gameplay, and scares. One, I don't know much about Resident Evil Outbreak, I'll admit. I did play Resident Evil 5, and he did seem like he was going after, seems like a strong phrase again, but again, he seemed like he was kind of, for lack of a better term, I guess he seemed like he was kind of going after anybody that said this, but I had a fun time playing Resident Evil 5 with my buddy. Like, I don't understand why that's a bad thing to have fun playing with a friend, but apparently that's a bad thing. Apparently you're not supposed to have fun playing Resident Evil. Forgive me for assuming that the reason I bought the game was to have fun with it. Like, there's a reason I don't play Dark Souls. Because I don't want to spend a bunch of money on a video game that makes me hate my life. But that's not what we're here to talk about. And then said that, not to say that survival horror co-op can't be done, because it's been done. Left 4 Dead did it very well. I want to state I could not disagree with that more if I tried. If I physically tried, I could not disagree with that statement more. And my reasoning is Left 4 Dead is not a survival horror game. Simple as that. It's not. It is a horde shooter. That's about it. It is a horde shooter. There is no survival elements in that game whatsoever. Yes, you can heal. There's first aid kits, so there's healing so that you don't die. But I wouldn't really consider that survival. Now, Resident Evil, I feel like, also plays fast and loose with the term survival horror, because the only things that you're really crafting is healing items and bullets, I believe. So there is a crafting element to that aspect. But, again, when I think of something like survival, I'm thinking like survival. I'm thinking games like The Forest. I'm thinking games like Stranded Deep, Subnautica, Raft, hell. Horror, in and of itself, I'm thinking games like Outlast, Until Dawn, I think, was a better horror game. So to call Left 4 Dead a survival horror game, I could not disagree with that more. It was a horde shooter, and that's it. Not to say it was bad by any means, and not to say that there weren't parts of it that were scary. Fuck The Witch. Nah. The Witch was terrifying. Just walking around, all of a sudden hearing crying from some fucking where, and then my idiot buddy's got to be like, huh, I wonder what that crying is. Oh, you see a lady sitting down there? I'm a flashbanger. No! That's about as horror as the game got, was just me being scared of my brain-dead friends. So, to call Left 4 Dead a survival horror game seems like a stretch of the imagination if I'm being nice, and a complete fucking lie if I'm not. I don't know how else to say that. I also want to be clear, I'm not trying to go after him in any way, shape, or form. I watch him regularly. I'm subscribed to him on YouTube and stuff. So, but that's what the internet's for, is to voice your opinion, right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm voicing my opinion because I really don't agree with that in that sentiment, because he really seemed like he was like going after people for saying that they had fun playing with their friend solely based on the fact that Resident Evil shouldn't be co-op. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's not really fair to say, because I feel a co-op Resident Evil game could work. I feel like Resident Evil 5 did it, and I feel like it did it fine. I don't know what else somebody could ask for out of a Resident Evil co-op experience, I guess. But maybe, I don't know, I really can't think of much that would have made it better, other than, you know, the game being made later in a more modern era, you know. If anything, I think Resident Evil 5 is the next one that needs remastered. We've remade every Resident Evil so far. Go all the way. Let's redo 5 until we get to the modern Resident Evils. Then we don't need to remake them, really. But let's remake 5. I think that would be good, because it would have modern visuals, modern controls. Maybe then people would understand that it was okay. Was it great? Was it fantastic? Was it something I'm going to write home about? Is it something I'm going to go out and buy so I can play right now again after all this time? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But that has more to do with me not being a huge Resident Evil fan more than it has to do with the fact that the game was just a bad co-op experience. That's not the case. It was not a bad co-op experience. To be fair, around that time frame is when I feel like a lot of games started dropping off from co-op anyway, and a lot of things started moving towards multiplayer. Little side tangent rant here. I really wish game companies would understand the difference between co-op and multiplayer, because so many times I see a game that says co-op and then it's actually multiplayer. And maybe I'm the one that has a bad idea, that has this backwards, but in my opinion, co-op means split screen. Couch co-op. That's what it's always been known to me as. Co-op should be something I can play with someone in the same room. If me and my friend are on the couch together, we can do co-op. If I'm trying to play with somebody that's not with me, that's away from me, and I play online with them, that's multiplayer. Maybe I'm crazy, but that's what that has always been to me. Anyways, I do not believe Resident Evil 5 was a bad co-op game, and I think calling Left 4 Dead a survival horror game is a fucking joke. I really do. I like Soulkeeper. He's made some good videos, and I've agreed with most of his points. But Left 4 Dead, a survival horror game? No. And it being a better co-op experience than Resident Evil 5, I feel is not fair to judge them against each other, because they're two completely different games. Anyways, that'll be it.